Man, oh man, when I tell you that this upcoming NBA season is so anticipated by so many fans, including myself of course, and this wait in the offseason has been one of the longest waits that I have ever had in my entire life. But while we wait, let's discuss some NBA basketball, because in this video we are going to discuss not one, not two, not three, but 5 NBA players who have their legacies on the line next season. I think they're hungry, they want to prove people wrong, and I think they have the most to prove going into next season. So without further ado, let's discuss player number 5. Now look, I love John Wall. I think John Wall is one of the most entertaining players to watch at times in the NBA. And I say at times because he does have a lot of flaws. Now I'm not going to discuss John Wall for too long. That's why I started off with him first. And that's because I made a video discussing John Wall. But let me say this. John Wall has pieces around him that are suitable for him to at least make the second round and possibly the Eastern Conference Finals. He definitely should be at least a top 4 seed in the East. He has Bradley Beal, who's one of the best shooting guards in the league, definitely in the top 5 at his position. Otto Porter has been improving each and every season. He's a 3-and-D player. Kelly Oubre has gotten better each and every season. And then they have also corrected their worst position, and that is the center position. And now they replaced Marcin Gortat with Dwight Howard, who is better defensively. And I know people don't like him because he's a little overpaid, and Doc Rivers gave him opportunities that realistically speaking he would not have gotten from any other team. But Austin Rivers is a solid quality backup player who can fit in a rotation and be a 6th or 7th man in the lineup, and they have that on the bench to help John Wall. So I definitely think John Wall has all the pieces around him. And when you look at all the disappointments surrounding the Washington Wizards, sure, you can look at bad management giving Otto Porter such a big contract, and also some of the injuries that Bradley Beal has suffered, but each and every one of John Wall's teammates have gotten better each and every year. Bradley Beal got better and he suffered less injuries. Otto Porter has gotten better. Kelly Oubre has gotten better. And like I said, they've replaced Marcin Gortat with Dwight Howard. So John Wall has all the pieces around him. He needs to prove once and for all that he belongs in the discussion with the elite point guards in the NBA. You have Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook. Those are the elite top tier point guards in the entire NBA. And John Wall at one point in time, in my opinion and in my eyes, I thought he was in that conversation. But last season, combined with a lot of other failures that the Wizards have suffered, I think that it has removed John Wall from that conversation. And it's not all his fault because he did suffer from injuries, and a lot of people wanted to tell me that in the comment section. But when you just look at how John Wall even played when he came back from the injury, I mean, he shot horrible from the 3-point line and kept jacking up threes. He turns the ball over at a high rate, and we all know he was doing that even before the injury. And John Wall just has a lot of holes in his game, like his lack of a consistent 3-point shot that stop him from elevating to that top tier class. So I definitely think that next season he has a lot to prove, and his legacy is going to be on the line in my personal opinion. If they cannot get to the second round of the playoffs and be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, then I can never put John Wall in the category of the Russell Westbrook, Steph Currys, and even the Kyrie Irvings. I just can't do that. Now the next player that we're going to discuss has to be James Harden, because look, James Harden, you put up the numbers. You got your MVP in 3 tries, I should add. So now it's time for you to win a championship. You have Chris Paul as your sidekick. You have Carmelo Anthony, who's a supporting piece. You also have Clint Capella, who's a good, solid rim protector who I think could be an all-star one day. You also have Eric Gordon off the bench. There is not an excuse in the world, even though I know they lost Mbado Mute and they lost Ariza, but he has enough pieces around him to make the Western Conference Finals. And when you look at last season, there is not an excuse, in my opinion, that anyone could use or anyone should be using for why they did not make it to the finals. Look, I get it, Chris Paul was out due to injury, but last time I checked, James Harden, even throughout that series, was inconsistent. I mean, he shot below 42% from the field and shot below 25% from 3, and also turned the ball over 4 times a game in the first 6 games of that series. And even those games, Chris Paul was playing. So I don't want to hear that they lost Chris Paul and that's why they lost the series. Look, I can guarantee you that if Chris Paul played, that's not going to change the outcome of Game 6, where they lost by nearly 30 points. And they lost Game 7 by 9 points. And where was James Harden? Well, I'll tell you where he was. He was shooting 2 of 13 from 3 and also turned the ball over 5 times. So James Harden had numerous opportunities to win that series, but he himself screwed up those opportunities. And even when you want to look at the entire postseason last year, in the entire postseason, he shot 41% from the field and 29% from 3, and also turned the ball over nearly 4 times a game. So when you look at James Harden's numbers in the postseason, throughout his entire career, they are not the same as the numbers that he puts up in the regular season. And look, I understand that James Harden, his game is about iso ball, cross up, Euro step, all that. But he needs to change it. It gets boring, first of all, let's just keep it real. And secondly, it hurts the teammates around you because they're not always involved. Eric Gordon can handle the ball from time to time. Chris Paul can handle the ball from time to time. It doesn't always have to be Harden. And look, I get it. Harden and CP3, they share ball handling responsibilities. But at the end of the day, there are still plays that I see James Harden, either he'll come down the court and jack up a 3, or he'll come down the court, ISO, find someone on the corner, or he'll jack up another 3. So when it comes to James Harden's game, I think that's what he personally needs to change in order for him to elevate himself among, in my opinion, the top 3 players in the league. Because Harden, without question, should be in the conversations with LeBron, KD, Kawhi. He should be in those conversations. But because of the fact that James Harden's game is such to where he can get tired, he loses stamina, and the defense just collapses on him, that's why he turns it over a lot. That's why he jacks up a lot of 3s. That's why his field goal percentage is so low. And that's why the Rockets cannot become a championship team. Harden has to correct that, because this season, I think, is the last chance for me to put James Harden in the top 3 shooting guards of all time, because I definitely think that he is in the top 10, but for me to put him among the Kobes and the Jordans and the Wades, I cannot do that if he cannot do the thing that those 3 players did best: change their games to help the players around them so they can win championships. Harden's got the pieces, he just got to get it done. Damian Lillard has to be one of the most confusing and annoying players to look at in the NBA today. Because look, on one hand, Damian Lillard wants to complain that he's underrated, he's slept on, he should make more all-star appearances, and CJ McCollum, just stop, alright? Because CJ was even annoying me on Twitter when he went on there and he added Damian Lillard because they were sleeping on them in the standings or whatever, and that just pissed me off to a whole nother level. Win a playoff series, get to the conference finals or even the second round of the playoffs, and then we can talk CJ McCollum. But at the end of the day, Damian Lillard has a lot to prove this upcoming season, because I definitely thought that last year was a chance for Damian to cement his name as one of the most elite players in the NBA. He could have proved that he is a top 10 player in the league, but he went to the playoffs and he did what he does every single postseason, and that is choke. Whether it is against the Grizzlies, whether it is against the Spurs, whether it is against the Warriors, or whether it is against the Pelicans, Damian Lillard fails to show up when you need him the most. And it's funny that he's gotten this reputation over the past few years as being clutch because he hits a few game winners, and mainly it's because the game winner in Houston, and he has that little signature pose that he does with his hands. Even though it does look nice, Dame, you gotta show up when it matters most. Because what's the point of having all this skill and putting all these numbers up in the regular season, but when it matters most, you're nowhere to be found? So at the end of the day, Dame's gotta show up. He's gotta show up in the postseason. He can put up all the numbers he wants in the regular season, but this season, if he does not show up, I cannot make him a top 10 player. I cannot put him among the top 5 point guards in the league, and I surely as hell cannot put him in the same category as Steph or Russ or even CP3 or Kyrie. I can't do that, because at the end of the day, Dame, you got pieces. You make it work. If you're an elite talent, That's what you should be able to do. My man Carmelo Anthony. So many people thought I went off on him a bit too hard in that OKC video, but to all those people, screw you. You know damn well Carmelo Anthony's washed, and it's all on him. Whether it's him putting up dead stats in New York, whether it's him just being straight ass in the playoffs, or whether it's his arrogance and overconfidence and pride on him not wanting to come off the bench, even though his counterpart in Dwayne Wade, actually I shouldn't say counterpart because D-Wade's better, Dwayne Wade was willing to come off the bench, and he has multiple championships and a finals MVP. I mean, D-Wade was willing to come off the bench so J.R. Smith of all people could start. That kind of humbleness, you will never see it from Carmelo Anthony, because even when he was about to go to Houston, this man still said he's not going to come off the bench. What kind of arrogance is that? I have never seen a player so arrogant like Carmelo Anthony, and this season I am just waiting, because honestly, in my opinion, if you want it right now, I'm going to give it to you. I know Carmelo Anthony is going to find a way to fuck this up, whether it's him not coming off of the bench or whether it's him getting traded because he doesn't want to come off the bench. Carmelo Anthony will find a way to screw this opportunity up. I mean, this is the best position that he has ever been to win a championship, and watch him find a way to screw it up. Look, Carmelo Anthony, when you look at all the counterparts in his draft class, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, all of them have gone on to have prominent careers and have won championships. Sure, Melo will make the Hall of Fame, but let's look at a guy like Manu Ginobili. His whole entire career, by the way, shout out to Manu, great career, fantastic player, bona fide Hall of Famer and legend. But at the end of the day, he was willing to sacrifice to win not one, not two, not three, but 4 championships by coming off of the bench his entire career. Whether it was taking pay cuts, which we know Carmelo Anthony will never do, whether it was coming off the bench, which we already know Carmelo Anthony will never do, this man was willing to do anything. He is literally the exact opposite of Carmelo Anthony. But look, Melo, the saying is, it's not about what you do in the beginning, but it's how you end it. And if Carmelo Anthony can end his career, whether it's coming off the bench or doing whatever he needs to do, changing his game in order to help the people around him to win championships, hey, Melo, he has to do it this season, because if he doesn't, he's a failure. And I'm so serious about that. He is a failure like none other that I have ever seen before. Now, you know I can't end the video without discussing everybody's favorite player, Russell Westbrook, because with all the gifts, with all the athleticism that has been blessed upon this man's shoulders, he still does not know how to lead a team beyond the first round of the playoffs, whether he has help or whether he supposedly doesn't have help. I mean, this is a player that had Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis 2 seasons ago, and they were viewed as bench players and players that were bust to some people. And they went on to the Pacers, and those players are putting up numbers that they could have only dreamed to put up with Russell Westbrook. And Victor Oladipo is leading the Pacers to nearly 50 wins and taking the Cavaliers and LeBron James to 7 games. I mean, Russell Westbrook right now, he has a team and a squad that has removed Carmelo Anthony, so they've gotten rid of the cancer. They added Dennis Schroeder instead, and they got Nerlens Noel off the bench. He still has Paul George, Steven Adams, and apparently Roberson is the MVP of that team, and they're getting him back next season. With all that talent around him, and for him to be considered a top 10 player in the league, he has to be able to lead this team past the first round of the playoffs. I mean, you got a guy like Anthony Davis, who last season he lost his second best player and was still able to lead his team past the first round by sweeping the Portland Trail Blazers. Russell Westbrook last year had a prime opportunity to beat the Utah Jazz, but he underperformed in the first 4 games of the series. I get it, he balled in game 5 and in game 6, but the reason they were in those predicaments in some of those games was because Russell Westbrook consistently failed to show up game after game after game after game in game 1 through game 4. Meanwhile, his old buddy that he hates so much, Kevin Durant, He has 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs with this Golden State Warriors team, and Russell Westbrook's not even in the conversation of contending with him, and he's got 2 first-round exits to his name ever since KD left. It doesn't look good for Russell Westbrook's legacy, and I know people think that I'm just some Russell Westbrook hater, but I genuinely do believe that Russell Westbrook is a good enough player to lead a team to a championship. He just has to stop trying to get triple doubles because it looks good on paper to average 25 and 10 and 10, but if you're not winning games, that does not matter at all. The difference between Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell is that Wilt Chamberlain could put up the numbers that could dominate anybody in NBA history, but he was not winning. Those numbers did not lead to wins. And it was shown as when he started sacrificing numbers, that's when the wins and the championships would come into play. Same thing goes with Russ and Steph Curry. One player sacrifices, the other one doesn't. And you can see it in the reflection of the championships. So you guys let me know in the comment section what you thought about this video. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, you guys follow me on Twitter. The link with that will be down below. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for 20,000 subscribers, by the way. I could not have made it without you guys, of course. Y'all stay safe. Peace.